It is my honor at this time to be able to present Terry Wilcox, who she attended her very first relay with us last year. She had just been newly diagnosed, just in the very starts of her chemo. And I remember her making a walk, and she had that look of, oh my God, what is going on? And we were honored to be able to have her with us a year out, and she's doing well, and she's got hair. So come on up, Terry.
That's my family. I want to share a recipe with you. The first thing that you put in your mixing bowl is a big dollop of faith. And then you blend in a medical team. Now let's get this straight. 1 surgeon, 3 oncologists, a doctor of internal medicine, a research nurse, 1 cancer care coordinator, 4 radiologists, 8 radiation technicians, 3 primary chemo nurses with 5 others standing by, a Coumadin nurse, a podiatrist, 1 health psychologist, an ophthalmologist, and a dietitian. Then you mix in a husband turned primary caregiver, 2 children turned special attendants, 2 sets of parents, a sister who became my superhero sidekick, brothers, all my relatives, friends near and far, and a church family. Now, after mixing all this, you now must carefully fold in the secret ingredient, and that's the many cancer survivors and their families I've had the good fortune to meet. Then you sprinkle liberally with hope and a lot of prayer. You bake for 15 months for best results, and what do you get? And look at all the other survivors. We've all been blended, stirred, beaten, folded, roasted, toasted. Some of us are burned around the edges, but look at the results. In the bake-off contest of life, we all take first prize. So one day, I'm returning from a trip from San Diego with my husband, hoping to get all my business chores done so we can take off for Chicago, and I get this message. And the message is from the hospital. It says, you need another mammogram. People start telling me not to worry. Lots of women get called back for a second mammogram. But I knew the minute I saw that radiologist's face, it was time to worry. From then on, the next 2 weeks were full of tests and consults, a little bit more bad news, more consults, more bad news, and more consults. I was labeled a 3C. I had a double mastectomy. My path report showed 17 lymph nodes involved. I had 5.5 months of chemotherapy, 37 days of radiation, a year of Herceptin infusions, and a year participating in a clinical trial. I'll be done in August. It's my 15th month. When I first found out I had cancer, that was the time that I got connected to American Cancer Society. The ACS website was one of only 3 websites that my oncologist suggested that I try to look at. Then I was given the ACS treatment tree booklet. Did you know that there's a lot of different kinds of breast cancer and there are a lot of different types of treatments? Today we know so much more about the disease that we've moved beyond the one-size-fits-all kind of treatment. And because of this, hundreds of more lives are being saved. I'm so fortunate to have gotten the disease when I did because of the latest drugs that have been approved only in the last 3 years. I had a friend who was diagnosed in 2005 who could not get the drug that I'm on now. And now I'm going through a clinical research trial on a new drug that may help fight the odds of it reoccurring. And that's cool. Then my sister and I visited the ACS office and had a wig fitting. Did you know that ACS gives every cancer patient a free consultation, a free wig, and 3 scarves? You don't know how welcome this is, especially when you've just been told that you're going to lose your hair in 2 weeks. And then last year I walked the survivor's lap at this relay. I'd just gotten out of the hospital because of a blood clot, and I was 4 weeks out of surgery, and I did not feel like a survivor. A friend of mine, Christy Simons, and we had to take extra large t-shirts because we couldn't lift our arms high enough to get into the size shirt that we ought to have had. So this year, both Christy and I are wearing mediums. So, what can I say that you don't already know about cancer and the journey? You know, when 1 in 3 people are predicted to get some kind of cancer in their lifetime, it becomes a household word. Who wants to read another book or an article on what it's like to go through cancer? You know, there's so much information out there now that I fear that we're becoming a nation that's a little complacent. It's just not new anymore. We've all heard about the emotions, the courage, the support, the side effects, the trauma, the drama, and the hope. Why take time to hear one more story? Why? Because we have to. This is not the time to quit our efforts. We still don't have a cure, and there are people who are still losing the battle. And even though I have had this extreme makeover, and I like it, I like the thought of looking at cancer as a disease and not a death sentence. I still have to live with the fact that it might come back. The battle is still raging, but which side is winning? This is not the time to slow down and become complacent simply because the war is too lengthy and drawn out. We are not watching CNN news from our lounge chairs. My treatment has lasted so long that I've seen fellow cancer patients who share the chemo lab with me turn over twice. 10 people leave, 10 more people come in and take their place. And all of them have a story to tell. And that's why we need to stay the course. We can't stop now. That would be like running a race and quitting halfway through it. And it would be like all these survivors tonight only walking halfway around the track and then going home. It just doesn't make any sense. We need to push on. We need to tell more people. We need to support more survivors. And we need to make sure that we don't ever forget that final goal. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary tonight of Hudson's Relay. When those luminaries are lit tonight, just look at how bright they burn. And each little flame represents one single Relay for Life event. But if you look at all of them together, that's all the relays around the world and all the money that we've collected. It does make a difference. And it's making a difference for all of us who are surviving. And it's especially important for those who have passed on. We can't let them down. I believe they're part of our souls, watching the progress through our eyes, and looking down on all the doctors and researchers and educators and volunteers and survivors who work their buns off trying to find the cure. So anyway, all right. Does anybody know about the United Nations 7 Generations philosophy? Does anyone know? It's a belief. And what it is that what you say and do today will affect the next 7 generations. And I believe it. You know, I personally may not live to see a cure, but what I say and do today will definitely help the generations to come. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping. And look at all the other survivors. We've all been blended, stirred, beaten, folded, roasted, toasted. Some of us are burned around the edges, but look at the results. In the bake-off contest of life, we all take first prize.